In this one I'm looking at the Kawai K1 Mark II, although most of what I'll be covering will also apply to the Mark I and all the various rack and desktop versions that exist. I'm focusing on a very particular area, that is the amplitude modulation. I'll be looking at using the sine waves to modulate more complex waveforms, as well as modulating the complex waveforms together. But before we start looking at the synth in more detail, if you'd like to support the channel, then please check out my Bandcamp and Spotify, links in the description, and consider leaving a like and subscribing if you want to see more on this series and other synths. So now that's out of the way, let's get on with it. Okay, I want to look at more of the AM options. I've already set up a sound using the sine waves, but I've not explored very far beyond that. And I want to see if I can get more complex sounds without it getting too over the top. So I'm going to have a quick look at that now. I'm going to start by using the sound which I've already set up, which is this JKENO. It's quite a nice sound. Let's have a quick look at what I did on that one. So we're going to edit mode, and I want waves. Let's have a quick look through which waveforms I selected. First one was 4, so that's one of the sines. 5, so that would be 4th harmonic, 5th harmonic, 6th harmonic. Is there a pattern? 7th harmonic. Source 1 is modulating source 2. And source 4 is modulating source 3. Now what I'm thinking is that if I get some of the other bell-like sounds and then try those as sources instead, maybe we can get some really interesting effects. So the first thing that comes to mind here is if I just get 2 random waveforms and throw them in there, there could be some decent effects, but at the same time it may end up being a bit too complicated. Now I already know that the sine waves are tuned perfectly, so I'm going to keep the modulator sine waves exactly as they are, but I'm just going to change the carrier waveforms and then see what sort of differences we can get. So I'm going to simplify the sound first of all, and I want to change the waveform. Let's go for... Okay, I'm going to go for, let's have a look. Quite interesting. 175. What's that one? This is the Koto. It's interesting. Very strange. Bit more normal. 178 kalimba. So I'm just going to go back to sources 3 and 4 and then do the same thing. I'm just going to change source 3 with the carrier and leave source 4 as the same. Source 4 is using the 7th harmonic. It's definitely more extreme sound because of that 7th harmonic. Those lower sounds are really quite good, aren't they? Just change the transpose. Crystalline soundscapes, this is what this is good for. You've got to bear in mind we're only using 2 sources here, so it's already quite rich. The AM really does a lot for it. And these strange fuzzy ones. I've got to try combining some of the fuzzier ones and go from there. So strange as the sounds are, they can still be very musical. That's great sound. Okay, so in that particular circumstance, we're just using a simple sine wave at different frequencies to modulate the carrier, which is a more complex waveform. We have 2 sets of those because we've got the 4 sources, which are split into 2 groups, and we can get some really interesting sounds doing that. So I'm just going to take it to the next step now then, and I'm going to change the modulator to a more complex waveform. And let's see if that tips the balance and maybe you get to sounds which are a little bit too much, but we'll see. So now I'm going to change the modulator. Right, so let's turn those 2 off. So I would say, just looking at that small sample range, that actually the sound didn't seem to change that much, and which is surprising when you think about it. But I wouldn't say it had a negative effect. It wasn't too much, but it was perhaps less dramatic than I was thinking it would be. Let's go back to that 164 and just change the frequency. The modulator is 16 semitones below the carrier. Frequency again, fine. There are so many things that you could try out in terms of the different frequencies and the different waveforms. The combinations are just insane. Yeah, and I'm only trying to do sort of more kind of percussive bell-like sounds, but I think there's lots of stuff you could do with pads as well. So as usual, the video recording overran, and while I was planning to do envelopes and other modulators, I ended up just doing a video on amplitude modulation. But I think perhaps these bite-sized pieces are slightly more digestible than getting the whole thing done in one go. So if you enjoyed the video, then a like would be much appreciated. And if you'd like to follow the rest of the series and maybe check out some of the other synth series which are coming up, then consider subscribing. Hopefully catch you on the next video. Bye.